Well. The energy coming in right now is loud, sharp, and exposing every hidden intention that's been hovering around you. Some people really thought they could step in the ring with you, thinking they were on your level, thinking they could compete with you, thinking they could challenge you spiritually, mentally, energetically, and it backfired on them harder than anything they ever experienced. They walked into a ring they were never qualified to enter. They swung first. They poked first. They initiated the first move. And within minutes, everything they projected came flying back at their own head, knocking them down, knocking them out, knocking the ego straight out their chest. They underestimated you so bad, they didn't even realize they were fighting someone who's been trained by hardship, sharpened by betrayal, refined by ascension, backed by spirit, and protected by unseen forces that don't play about you. The bell didn't even finish ringing before they were on the floor, spiritually choking on their own intentions. Spirit is exposing the fact that this person really believed they had the upper hand. They thought you were soft, passive, unaware, distracted, untrained. They thought you were someone they could run circles around. They thought you were someone they could rely on, manipulate, confuse, outplay. They thought your calmness was weakness. They thought your quiet moves were uncertainty. They mistook your peace for vulnerability. They mistook your gentleness for fear. And every single one of those assumptions is exactly why they lost before the match even started. Spirit keeps showing this image. Someone pacing back and forth, rehearsing how they're going to defeat you, how they're going to embarrass you, how they're going to expose you, how they're going to bring you down. And the whole time, they had no idea they were preparing their own downfall. It's giving desperation. It's giving delusion. It's giving someone swinging at shadows, while you're on a completely different frequency, already upgraded, already elevated, already guided beyond their reach. What's wild is the way everything's collapsing around this person right now. And it's not small collapse either. It's collapse that embarrasses them publicly. Collapse that confuses the people who believed their lies. Collapse that exposes their true character. Collapse that forces them to sit alone and face the parts of themselves they tried so hard to project onto you. Spirit keeps saying, they swung first, not knowing you were protected by every confrontation you didn't respond to, every insult you didn't absorb, every trap you stepped over, every betrayal you healed from. You were never unguarded, you were never unprepared, you were never easy prey, you were never their punching bag. You were chosen for discipline that turned you into a professional fighter without even trying. This person is dazed right now, disoriented, spiritually bruised, energetically limping. They didn't expect the recoil. They didn't expect their own energy to boomerang with 10 times the force. They didn't expect their own mouth to expose them. They didn't expect their actions to trap them. They didn't expect their intentions to reveal themselves under pressure. And now it's showing. People around them are confused as to why their life suddenly took a nosedive. People around them are whispering about the sudden chaos circling them. People around them are noticing the shift. They're noticing the bruises, spiritual, emotional, social. They're noticing how drained this person is. They're noticing how paranoid this person has become. They're noticing how jumpy and triggered they are. Someone stepped in the ring with you thinking you were alone, not realizing you walk into every battle with spirit on your left, ancestors on your right, divine protection behind you, intuition in front of you, and a whole lineage clearing the path before your feet even hit the ground. Spirit is highlighting that you never needed to fight back. That's what knocks them out the hardest. You didn't throw a punch. You didn't argue. You didn't return the energy. You didn't defend yourself. You didn't stoop to their level. You're restrained, was the strike. Your detachment was the hit. Your silence was the uppercut. Your elevation was the finishing blow. When you walked away, the match ended. And the moment you disconnected, emotionally, physically, spiritually, everything they tried to throw at you hit them. Instead, Spirit is saying, they enter the ring where the rules were different. In your ring, the truth always wins. In your ring, intention always exposes itself. In your ring, protection always catches the blow before it reaches you. So when they tried to send energy to your corner, it didn't land on you. It landed exactly where it originated. There's this heavy emphasis on embarrassment. Spirit keeps repeating the word, embarrassment, because this person is being humble in real time. Everything they said about you is backfiring. Everything they plotted is collapsing. Everything they tried to make people believe about you is melting under the pressure of evidence. People are starting to look at this person differently. People are pulling back. People are giving side eyes. People are whispering. People are asking questions. Someone thought they could build their reputation by tearing down yours, and ended up tearing their own foundation apart. They thought they were throwing shade. Turns out they were just revealing what kind of person they really are. They try to target someone who carries divine backing, and life is teaching them exactly why that was their biggest mistake. Everything this person did was fueled by insecurity. Spirit keeps showing that their biggest trigger was that you never needed to prove anything. You don't try to be liked. You don't try to be seen. You don't try to be dominant. You don't try to be the center of attention. You just are. Your energy speaks before you do. Your aura enters a room before your body does. Your presence shifts atmospheres without effort. And that's what made them feel threatened long before they ever admitted it. They kept trying to figure out why people respected you, why people gravitated toward you, why people trusted you, why your name carried weight, why your energy carried clarity, why you moved with alignment, why you weren't fazed by gossip, why you didn't crumble under pressure, why you stayed calm while they panicked. Every question they asked turned into resentment, and resentment turned into competition, and competition turned into attack, and attack turned into downfall. Spirit keeps saying, this wasn't just jealousy, this was obsession disguised as rivalry. This person watched you harder than your supporters. They studied you. They monitored your moves. They monitored your life. They monitored your upgrades. They monitored your blessings. They thought the more they watched, the more leverage they gained. But the more they studied you, the more exposed they became. You were never in the same category as them. You were never running the same race. You were never fighting for the same recognition. You were never after the same validation. They were competing with you, while you were competing with your past self. And that mismatch is exactly why they got spiritually knocked out. This person underestimated spirit. That's the core of the whole situation. They thought everything was about physical actions. They thought everything was about what they could say, what they could manipulate, what they could distort. They never understood that you're someone who is spiritually governed, someone who is divinely monitored, someone who is intuitively guided, someone who receives warnings before attacks, someone who gets nudged away from the wrong people at the right time, someone who is protected from hits you'll never even know were aimed at you. They thought they were fighting you. They didn't know they were fighting your protection. There's something else spirit keeps burning up. Your restraint is haunting them. They expected a reaction. They expected anger. They expected confrontation. They expected you to break character. They expected you to lose control. They expected you to expose yourself emotionally. They expected you to meet them at their level. But you did the opposite. You detached. You elevated. You focused on yourself. You mind your business. You upgraded your life. And that's what kept knocking them spiritually unconscious over and over. Every time they threw something, you grew. Every time they sent doubt, you rose. Every time they wished failure, you transformed. Every time they attempted to attack, you leveled up. They didn't understand how someone could be so unbothered and still keep winning. Spirit keeps showing that this person didn't understand your endurance. They didn't know what you've survived. They didn't know what you've healed from. They didn't know what you've walked away from. They didn't know how many battles Spirit already trained you through. They didn't know how many times you rebuilt yourself. They didn't know how many times you stood alone. They didn't know how much spiritual discipline you carry. They mistook your softness for fragility. They mistook your kindness for naivety. They mistook your stillness for unawareness. And all of that led them straight into a battle they could never win. Their biggest wound right now is that they exposed themselves trying to expose you. People see through them. People see their motives. People see their jealousy. People see their insecurities. People see how forced their confidence is. People see how unstable their energy is. People see the desperation in their moves. People see the envy behind their actions. And people are slowly distancing themselves. Because energy doesn't lie. When someone steps in the ring with a chosen one, there's always spiritual announcement. The universe doesn't let that go unnoticed. Their downfall becomes the lesson. Their collapse becomes the warning. Their karma becomes the example, and their embarrassment becomes the confirmation. Spirit is saying, don't look back. Don't let pity make you reopen doors. Don't let nostalgia make you forget the truth. Don't let softness make you second-guess your boundaries. What happened was necessary. The knockout wasn't cruelty, it was clarity. Their downfall isn't your responsibility, it's their reflection. Their wounds aren't your burden, they're their consequence. You weren't meant to carry them, you weren't meant to save them. You weren't meant to teach them directly. Spirit handled that for you. And right now they're realizing they should have never swung in your direction. They should have never tested someone who carries this much spiritual weight. Because when Spirit steps into the ring on your behalf, the match stops being fair for anyone who came in with hidden motives. And Spirit is showing this clearly. The moment they swung at you, energetically, verbally, spiritually, emotionally, that was the moment the referee on the other side sounded the horn and said, "Time to correct this." They thought the fight was between you and them, but it was never that small. They triggered forces that have been protecting you long before you even realized you were chosen. They triggered consequences they don't have the strength or spiritual discipline to handle. They triggered exposure they never prepared for. And what hit them wasn't your rage. It was divine correction. Right now, this person is walking around confused about how everything flipped so fast. 1 minute they thought they had the upper hand. 1 minute they thought they were building a storyline where you be the embarrassed one. You be the defeated one. You be the one people doubted. But the moment they made the first move, everything around them shifted. Doors started closing. Opportunities dried up. People stopped trusting them. People started pulling back. That's what happens when you punch at someone who carries divine backing. You swing into your own karma. Spirit keeps repeating this phrase. They misread your spirit. They thought you were naive. They thought you were unaware. They thought you didn't understand the energy behind their actions. They thought you didn't sense the shift in their tone, their intentions, their envy. But the truth is, You were 10 steps ahead the whole time. You saw the betrayal before it surfaced. You sensed the jealousy before they spoke it. You felt the shift before they acted on it. That's why you didn't crumble when they made their move. You were already spiritually prepared. Someone stepped in the ring thinking they were facing the old version of you. The one who tolerated too much. The one who ignored red flags. The one who gave people the benefit of the doubt. The one who assumed others had good intentions. The one who kept offering grace. But they weren't fighting the old you. They swung at the version of you that healed. The version of you that elevated. The version of you that spirit refined through challenges they never survived themselves. They swung at someone who already passed every test life threw at them. They swung at someone who turned pain into discernment and betrayal into wisdom. They swung at someone who no longer moves out of emotion. They move out of alignment. That's why the knockout was instant. That's why the collapse was fast. That's why the consequences are heavy. They weren't prepared for the version of you they attack. And Spirit is emphasizing this heavily. This person didn't just lose. They lost publicly. They lost in front of the same people they were trying to impress. They lost in front of people who used to believe their story. They lost in front of people who once stood behind them. Because Spirit wanted the lesson to be undeniable. Spirit wanted them to learn that you don't target someone with a clean heart and expect a dirty win. You don't challenge someone who moves with divine alignment and expect to walk away untouched. You don't attack someone who's been guided, shaped, and built through spiritual discipline. The biggest reason they lost is because they fought the wrong opponent. They fought someone who doesn't operate out of ego. They fought someone who doesn't compete with others. You don't fight people. You fight for your growth, your peace, your purpose. They came in with ego and pride, and you walked in with protection and purpose. Ego always loses to purpose. Pride always loses to alignment. Deception always loses to clarity. Right now, this person is slipping into deep self-pity, confusion, and emotional disarray. They're trying to understand why they're suddenly drained, why their connections are dissolving, why nothing is going smoothly, why their plans are falling apart. But Spirit says that's what happens when someone tries to discredit a soul that was sent to expose falsehood through existence alone. You didn't even need to prove them wrong. You didn't need to argue. You didn't need to plead your case. Life spoke louder than words. Life hit harder than any punch they threw. Life revealed exactly who they were and who you truly are. There's something else Spirit is highlighting. They're embarrassed because they lost to someone who didn't fight back. That's the part that stings the most. They threw hits. They spread rumors. They orchestrated conflict. They tried to turn people against you. They tried to create narratives around your name. Meanwhile, you were focused on healing, leveling up, minding your purpose. You weren't even in the ring with them. They were punching the air, and the air hit them back. Now they're sitting there shocked that you didn't break, shocked that nothing they did stuck, shocked that their attempts only revealed their own insecurities. Spirit keeps showing that this person is replaying everything in their head. They're thinking about how they could have approached the situation differently, how they could have kept you around, how they could have stayed aligned instead of competitive, how they could have grown with you instead of fighting you. But that's the part they struggle to accept. The moment they chose rivalry over respect, the match ended for them, spiritually. You aren't meant to stand beside them on the next level. Their intentions disqualified them. Their envy pushed them out. Their actions exposed their spirit. This person is carrying heavy regret right now, but it's mixed with anger. Not anger at themselves, anger at the fact that you didn't fall the way they expected. They're mad that you elevated through the blows, mad that you stayed grounded, mad that you remained calm, mad that the universe clearly favors you, mad that their own life is reflecting their energy back to them. And because they can't handle accountability, they've been silently blaming you for the consequences they created. But that's where Spirit steps in again and says, the one who threw the punch is the one responsible for the outcome. Spirit keeps showing that this person is exhausted because they put more energy into fighting you than building themselves. They obsessively watched you, tried to decode you, tried to predict you, tried to understand how you kept winning. All that energy they wasted, tried to knock you off balance, could have been used to grow their own life. But they wanted your downfall more than their own progress. And now they're paying for the imbalance. Their life is a reflection of the fight they started. Their instability is a reflection of their intentions. Their confusion is a reflection of their self-deception. There's another layer Spirit wants to bring through. This wasn't just a personal conflict. This was a spiritual test. This was a moment designed to show you that you've officially leveled out the version of life where people had access to you freely. You've reached a point where Spirit evaluates everyone who approaches you. Anyone who comes with hidden agendas gets exposed immediately. Anyone who comes with envy gets spiritually blocked. Anyone who comes with manipulation gets revealed before they can fully execute. You're not in the season you used to be in. You're in a protected phase where anyone who steps toward you with ill intentions gets knocked out before they reach your field. And this person's downfall is the proof